Non-native invasive plants pose a serious threat to beach and sand dune ecosystems along the Lake Huron shoreline. If left unmanaged, they can harm species at risk by outcompeting native vegetation and reducing biodiversity. Unlike native plants, many non-native grasses and wildflowers do not have extensive root networks. A sand dune that is dominated by invasive vegetation is at risk of erosion, jeopardizing infrastructure along the shoreline and Lake Huron's water quality. As a resident or visitor, it's important to avoid introducing non-native invasive species to the beach along the shoreline by gardening with native plants, cleaning your clothing, footwear, and beach accessories in between visits to different beaches, and using designated beach access pathways. There are a few more common invasive plants you may observe in Lake Huron sand dunes. If you are unsure about whether a plant you see is native or non-native, contact the Lake Huron Coastal Center for help with identification and management. Planting native species in areas where non-native invasive plants have been removed is a good way to reduce the chance of invasive plant regrowth. It's important to monitor an area where invasive plants were controlled and carry out further management activities if necessary. Effectively eradicating invasive plants requires consistency and persistence. The Lake Huron Coastal Center harvests American marram beachgrass in the fall for our restoration projects. The best time to harvest and plant American marram beachgrass is when it's dormant, to limit the amount of stress imposed on the plant. All you'll need to do this is a shovel or spade, work boots, a pair of gloves, and a bucket. Grasses must be harvested sustainably, so it's important to only harvest grasses in areas where there are plenty and avoid taking grasses from the edges of a sand dune. Once you find a healthy clump of beach grass in the middle of a sand dune, insert your spade at the base of the clump and drive it into the ground at a 45-degree angle. This should cut the roots in a way that maximizes the potential for sprouting new roots. Gently pull the clump out of the ground, shake off the excess sand from the clump, and place it into a bucket. A clump can be split up into multiple plantings and spread out within your planting area. To break up the clump of grass, hold it in both hands and split the roots up between 1 to 2 blades of grass. Once you have an individual plant separated, drive your spade into the ground and push the handle forward to create a wedge in the sand. Insert the plant into the wedge, pull the handle back to close the wedge, and stomp around the plant to mend any remaining cracks and ensure the plant won't dislodge or dry out. Since the grasses take a few years to establish, it may be helpful to install temporary fencing to help the new grasses capture blowing sand. The materials required to do this are 6 to 7 foot T-rail posts, wooden snow fencing, a post pounder, wire, pliers, and a partner. Start by drawing a line in the sand where you want the fence to be placed. The sand fencing should be installed perpendicular to the direction of the prevailing winds and 3 to 4 meters in front of the planting area. Then unravel the fencing and lay it along the line you created in the sand. If necessary, use wire cutters to shorten the length of the fence. Then, lay your T-rail posts 6 to 7 feet apart along the other side of the line. Starting at one end of the fence, use your post pounder to drive the pointed end of the T-rail post 2 to 3 feet into the ground. Ensure that the flat side of the T-rail post is facing the fence. Line the fence up with the T-rail post and use the wire and pliers to secure the fence to the T-rail post. Repeat this process along the rest of the fence.